Cool. All right. I'm not going to lie. I'm still reeling from Betsy's presentation. Thank you so much, Betsy, for sharing information like that, because events like this, that's exactly the type of thing that it's meant to do. How's everyone doing? You doing all right? I was thinking about how I'm going to open this, and I kind of brainstormed, and I think the only way I can do this appropriately is if you know me and you've seen any of my pictures, I kind of have an elevated personality. So everyone get up, please. Everyone stand up. Come on. I just had five energy hour drinks because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to drink them 5 in an hour. So I'm jumping, man. This is crazy. All right, so what we're going to do an air jump. Now, for those of you who may, if you have any physical limitations, please don't do this. I don't want to get sued. If you have any laptops, put them to the side. So if anything, your neighbor jumps on them, and they can have them buy you a new laptop. And if you don't feel like jumping, just wave your arms up. Just do it all together. So we're going to do this on 3. You guys ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much. Oh, sweet. Back to the Future. Awesome. The complete trilogy. I haven't seen that yet. Future Midwest. Yeah, let's get to work. Future Midwest. How many of you went to Future Midwest? Thank you. And I'm curious to ask that because for those of you who don't know, I'm not going to give you a 15-minute commercial, but Future Midwest was a knowledge technology conference that we put on in Royal Oak. And the goal of it was to re-educate our region, connect the separate hubs here in Michigan, and build upon the passion that exists here in our state. I've heard a lot of great keywords, buzzwords: passion, cages, community, evolution, old thinking, new thinking, and all of this ties into what Future Midwest was built on. To give you a little background, as Ryan said, I left Michigan for a while after 6 years of arduous, mind-breaking work of getting a fine arts degree and not knowing what the hell I wanted to do. A lot of things just ended. The band I was in broke up. I finally got my degree. My friends were moving on. The girl I was seeing, we broke up. So it was time to move on. It was time for a change. And I traveled for a while, and I ended up in Scottsdale, Arizona, as it's politely known in some circles, Snotsdale. And I had a really great job. This is actually where I learned how to engage in the social web. But as we all know, in 2008, a lot of crap happened. I lost my job, and a bunch of my friends lost our jobs. That'd be great if they lost my job. Did I mention I drank 5 of those energy drinks? Okay. Anyone here believe in intuition? Raise your hand. Anyone believe that things happen for a reason? Raise your hand. How many of you have faced a fork in the road? Raise your hand. What did you do? Awesome. Turned it into a sushi? You ate sushi? All right. Awesome. That's being creative. Terry Starbucker, who's one part of SobCon, which is a conference in Chicago, said, when you see the fork in the road, take it. Again, in Arizona, everything ended. And my wife and I had to decide, do we want to stay here or where do we want to go? And for whatever reason, the universe was telling me to get back to Michigan. Don't know why. Certainly wasn't planned that way, but everything was pointing in that direction. So I had a fork in the road. True story, when I was let go of my company that week, that Friday, I had to tell the apartment that we were renting that, yes, we'll be paying you $1,200 to live there a month for another year. The company let me go Thursday because the boss had to go out of town Friday. So we headed back to Michigan. And no, I didn't open a hotel. This is Murray Hotel on Mackinac Island. And no, I don't own it or run it or get a discount, even though that is my last name. This is where I went, back to my parents, swallowed my pride. Hi, Mom and Dad. Can I do laundry? But I reconnected not only with my family, but with a lot of awesome, kick-ass people here in Michigan. You might recognize some of them. They're doing great things. Everyone in this room is doing great things. The speakers up here are doing fantastic things. Why? Because they like Michigan. They like the people. They've built communities. They've built relationships. People drive Michigan's pride and passion. I don't say this. The speakers who have no invested interest in Michigan, who presented at Future Midwest, told us this. No other place did they ever recognize a community as strong as Michigan. Notice I didn't say Detroit. You notice I'm not saying Detroit. Notice I'm not focusing on Lansing, Ann Arbor, Traverse City, the separate hubs. We talked about cages. Notice I'm not talking about cages or the garden walls. I'm talking about Michigan. Because this passion is what's going to drive change. And this change is what's going to help Michigan reclaim its brand. When we think of Michigan, we have a certain perception about it. And I'll tell you, the people who are outside of Michigan certainly have a different perception on it. I would safely say maybe we own 50% of our brand. Again, the other 50% is built on outside perception. Want to guess what they're thinking about? I just talked to a guy today who, through Twitter, said, one of my friends is like, I got an extra ticket, can't make it today to TEDxLansing. Someone wanted it. I retweeted it. Gentleman took it. He just introduced himself to me this morning. Unfortunately, he lost his job this Tuesday. I've lost my job 3 times since moving back. Michigan may not have jobs, but we need to get out of that way of thinking of just jobs alone and start thinking about the opportunities because, again, no other time in history has anyone been able to fulfill their passion and make it a reality. Michigan is full of opportunities. So when we talk about conferences, what does Future Midwest really represent? Maybe you guys have heard this about the small conference in Austin called South by Southwest. Or maybe you've heard of SobCon, or SoFresh, or Ungeeked Elite, and all the many other conferences. Well, for the longest time, myself and others were waiting for a conference like that to happen in Michigan, and it wasn't happening. How many of you saw Lord of the Rings? All 3 in a row. I'm just kidding. Peter Jackson never envisioned himself making those movies. He was waiting until someone would make it so he could buy a bucket of popcorn and watch it. Well, lo and behold, of course, we all know what happened. He ended up making the movies. Same thing that happened with us. We were waiting for someone to make it. No one was making it. We said, you know what? Okay, we'll step up and we'll try. We'll try. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll try. It did work. There's the numbers. Yada, yada, yada. So many tweets, so many retweets, so many blog posts. Our target audience, 250 people. Over 500, close to 600 people showed up. Great. Numbers are fantastic, aren't they? What a safety net, huh? You want to know what the true metric is? At that conference, I knew Future Midwest was successful, not because we had a cool space cow or that all my friends showed up. I knew they would and bless them for it. I knew they would retweet it and blow it up because they love the concept. What I knew that Future Midwest was successful is because 50% of the people who attended, I didn't even recognize. My parents own a boat way up north in Sheboygan. 10 people from their boating club came down because they run small businesses and needed to transfer their business into the digital domain. They didn't know that I was even part of the conference, and thanks, parents, they didn't even tell them. So, I mentioned I was adopted? Okay. All right. Michigan's old. Hate to admit it, but it's pretty old. That's not bad. But right now, it's not really good because we're in separate communities. I get so tired of when I say, oh, I'm from Michigan, I hear, ooh. Or I'm from Detroit. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too. I'm sorry you're so rude. And I'm sorry that you can't see past your garden wall of the kick-ass things that we're doing here in this state. All right, now I understand there are geographic limitations. Some of my friends in Detroit are here. Thank you very much for coming. I know there's people from Grand Rapids and probably other cities. Traffic, geographic limitations, billboards, car on fire. I can't get to a place. Well, you know what? Imagine this stage as the social web. And let's say I took 10 of you to represent some of those states and hubs that were out there. It would take me maybe 1, 2.5 steps for me to reach your hand. There is no excuse for Michigan to not be extending digital handshakes across our state. This is what it should look like. Now, granted, I don't expect Ironwood to build a boat and float all the way down to Kalamazoo, but would it hurt if we extended our hand to them and said, hey, you want to get on a Skype call? You want to attend a webinar? What's happening in your area? Passion attracts passion. There's so much passion in this room. Use it to rebuild this state. One of my professors back in Eastern Michigan University, something he said sticks with me forever. Here's the problem. Solve it. Yeah, but how to do that? No. If you want limitations, all you got to do is ask for them. Don't believe it can happen? There's no reason why I should be able to move back to Michigan, start up a conference, meet amazing people like yourselves, if possibilities weren't possible. Use that passion to build something that allows others to participate in. Just don't have an event, post it up there, and say, oh, thanks for coming. Allow people to participate, because believe me, they want to. When I was invited to speak here, I'm not going to lie, initially I was kind of hesitant because I didn't want to do a 15-minute commercial on Future Midwest, which is happening next year in April 27, 2011. I didn't want to do that. Sorry. What I wanted to do was share the passion that we use to build events like that, events like TEDxLansing, TED Ann Arbor, TED Detroit, Social Media Club Detroit, Social Media Club Ann Arbor, Refresh Detroit. Bugsy, what do you got going on? Breakfast Club, Lansing Breakfast Club? Awesome, that's too early. I like the Lansing Happy Hour Pub. Let's focus on that one, you know? I'll start a Guinness chapter or something. True story, the first event I ever attended in Michigan was the Mid-Michigan Tweet Up. Might have been the first or second one, I don't know. What was that? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Because initially we thought we were going to be living in Lansing. Didn't end up that way, but the connections I made there still exist. Okay, so Future Midwest, it's happening, it's here. Take a weed whacker, I don't care, DDT, chainsaw, tear down your freaking garden walls. I'm serious. The view is so much better when you can see what's happening outside of your garden. And if I leave you with one thing, just remember this. All right, Future Midwest, it's happening. It's here. But guess what? Michigan, it's happening. It's here because you're here. By the way, all the pictures taken by photographers in Michigan, including your own Becky Johns. Thank you so much, guys.